When you hear the name Hanna-Barbera, who comes to mind? Is it Scooby-Doo? Yogi Bear? The Smurfs? Johnny Quest? Probably a whole lineup's worth of characters. But I'm willing to bet one of the names that didn't come to mind was Loopy De Loop. And no one can blame you. Most people don't remember who he is. Heck, most documentaries talking about Hanna-Barbera don't even mention him. It's actually surprising because, in all sense, Loopy is one of Hanna-Barbera's most important characters. But just who is Loopy De Loop? Well, let me introduce you to him. Unlike most wolves, who want to be big and bad, Loopy De Loop is a self-appointed good wolf, who bravely fights to clear the bad names of wolves everywhere, but his good-intentioned exploits would almost always get him beaten up or chased out of town by the very people he helped, simply for being a wolf. Now that doesn't sound too special for someone who I just described as being one of the company's most important characters. And it isn't. What makes him special is that, despite the limited animation you typically see from the company in everything they make, Loopy De Loop is actually the only character Hanna-Barbera made specifically for theatrical shorts. Yes, you heard me, theatrical. So while Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, and the Flintstones were airing on primetime roughly around the same time, Loopy De Loop's screen time was in legitimate movie theaters. That's right, Loopy De Loop was Hanna-Barbera's way of directly competing with the likes of Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. So that must mean Loopy De Loop must be this amazing series of shorts if it hopes to compare to the latter. Well, despite having a number of books, comic strips, records, and just how bloody important Loopy De Loop is to the company's history, nobody talks about him. After his last short was released in 1965, he just straight up disappeared. His most recent appearance was in Yo Yogi, and that was 30 years ago. And even then, he was simply a side character that didn't appear too often. So why is that? Why is a character with a role as unique and important as Loopy's isn't remembered? I speculate it's for two reasons. The first, despite its attempts, he's just not as enjoyable as the competition was. Now don't get me wrong, the message these shorts have is a good one. Never stop doing what's right even if the world says otherwise. But when I went back to watch the series, I just didn't find him to be that charming of a character. He's not that interesting or fleshed out. And while Hanna-Barbera isn't exactly known for its stellar writing, they still had rather fleshed out characters. Yogi Bear is a troublemaking genius who just wants to get a tasty snack but still has a good heart. Scooby-Doo is a bloodless coward who'd rather run and hide but will step up to the plate when he's needed. And Fred Flintstone is a caring husband and father who just wants to get ahead in life despite being stuck in a dead-end job. Loopy is just a kind-hearted wolf who's constantly punished for just being what he is. There's never any moments where he gets fed up with what's going on or questions why he even tries to be good. He's just always good. He's basically a Mary Sue. In fact, I've seen people say Loopy is the start of Hanna-Barbera's trend of making bland characters. And my second speculation is that, well, it's because his shorts were released in theaters and not on television. If he aired alongside his fellow Hanna-Barbera characters of the time, he may actually be remembered in the same way Yogi or Huckleberry was. But by competing with bigger names, he just eventually fell to the wayside of what are arguably better written characters. I can tell you right now, he's nowhere near as charming or whimsical as Mickey Mouse, and he's certainly no Bugs Bunny when it comes to comedy. But to explain, we must look at another similar character who was still making theatrical shorts at this time. Casper, the Friendly Ghost. It's not hard to see why I would compare both to each other. Both characters are good at heart but are constantly called monsters for what they are. While both do share a similar concept, it's Casper people still remember and still continues to get stuff made with him. Why is that? I think the answer lies in its execution and how it treats both characters. While Casper is a comical series, it still treats the tragedy of a friendly ghost in a world as afraid of ghosts as what it is. A tragedy. While Loopy's tragedy of being a good wolf in a world that hates wolves is always treated as a joke. So you can't really sympathize with him if the writers aren't going to treat him with any sympathy either. And while both characters' shorts would end with a predictable outcome, Casper's was usually more uplifting. He would usually come out on top. He was rewarded for his kindness with new friends or a place to stay just by showing kindness to others. A friendly ghost could find a place in a world that fears him, while the good wolf could not. His shorts would always end with him being punished for doing the right thing simply because he's a wolf, despite it being clear he has no ill will. So his life is perpetually at the short end of the stick. It's honestly the most pessimistic thing Hanna-Barbera's ever made. In short, my best guess is that Loopy De Loop just didn't have what other characters had, so there was really no point for people to continue watching his antics. He's not exceptionally funny, he's not exceptionally charming, and in all honesty, I do think characters like Casper just do the moral of doing the right thing a lot better than Loopy does. And aside from a few select cameos, he's never had any official appearance as a major character since his theatrical shorts. And while I do hear Loopy is going to appear in the upcoming Jellystone cartoon on HBO Max, I have yet to find any official sources that say he will. Who knows, maybe one day Loopy will return. But by the way things look right now, it looks like Loopy De Loop is going to stay out of the loop for a long time.
Ah yes, Loopy is the good wolf and will be appreciated someday. But today is not the day. Ouch! Ouch!
So, what about you guys? Do you know any characters who have been forgotten? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, I will see you guys later.